The moment my sister Amanda announced her engagement at Sunday dinner, I knew trouble was coming. She'd always been the golden child who married into money, whose life looked perfect from every angle. I was the divorced single mother of two, barely scraping by in everyone's eyes. They had no idea what I'd actually built. "We're having the wedding at Riverside Gardens," Amanda announced, her diamond ring catching the chandelier light. 200 guests. The waiting list is 18 months long, but Marcus's family has connections. I almost smiled. The waiting list existed because I'd made it that way, made the venue exclusive enough that people begged for dates. My daughter Emma, 8 years old, clapped her hands excitedly. "Can I be a flower girl, Aunt Amanda? I'd wear the prettiest dress and be so careful." The table went silent. My father set down his fork. My brother shifted uncomfortably. Amanda's smile tightened. "We'll see, sweetie," Amanda said, her voice strained. My mother jumped in quickly. "Amanda has so many important people to invite. Business associates, influential friends. Very sophisticated." The emphasis on sophisticated wasn't subtle. I nodded, cutting my chicken carefully. "Sounds beautiful." "The venue costs $40,000 for the rental," Marcus added, leaning back proudly. "Not including catering or flowers. We're looking at $250,000 total." My son James, 10 years old, whispered, "Mom, are we invited?" Before I could answer, my father cleared his throat. "Of course you are. Your family." But Amanda's expression told a different story. "Of course you are," I said quietly, though something cold settled in my chest. 3 weeks later, Amanda invited me to lunch at an expensive bistro, the kind where salads cost $30. "I need to talk about the wedding," she said, not meeting my eyes. I set down my water glass. "Go ahead." She took a breath. "Marcus and I have been going over the guest list. We're really stretched thin. His family is huge and we have colleagues to invite for business reasons." "Amanda, just say what you need to say." Her jaw tightened. "Your kids aren't worthy of the guest list. We're keeping it upscale, sophisticated. Children don't fit the aesthetic we're going for. Plus, James has that hyperactivity issue and Emma can be so loud. We can't risk them disrupting everything. Not with the kind of money we're spending." Something cold settled in my chest, but I kept my voice steady. "They're your niece and nephew. And I love them," she said quickly. "But this is my wedding. It's one day. Surely you understand that some events are just for adults." She leaned forward. "Besides, can you even afford appropriate outfits? The dress code is black tie. I'd hate for them to feel out of place." I picked up my purse. "I understand perfectly. You're still invited," she added quickly. "Just not the kids. I'll even pay for a babysitter that night." I stood up. "Thanks for lunch, Amanda." As I walked to my car, hands steady on my keys, I texted Sophie, my wedding planner. We'd worked together for 6 years, since I bought Riverside Gardens as a bankrupt estate and renovated it into the city's premier venue. Sister's wedding. September 15th. Check booking. Her response came within seconds. "Already on it. Want me to proceed with standard protocol?" Standard protocol meant canceling and blacklisting. I typed back, "Not yet. Let her keep planning. I want to see how far this goes." Sophie knew exactly what I meant. She'd watched me build this business from nothing while my family assumed I was failing at some generic hotel job. Over the next month, Amanda's wedding plans escalated on social media. Designer dress fittings at boutiques that actually rented my venue for trunk shows. Cake tastings at bakeries that paid me referral fees. Her bridesmaids posting about matching robes and spa days. None of them were me. My mother called every week with updates. "Amanda's so stressed with all the planning. You should really offer to help more. Maybe do something nice." "I'm sure she has everything under control," I said, watching my kids do homework at the kitchen table of the house I'd bought with my business profits. At another family dinner 2 weeks later, Amanda held court at the head of the table, showing everyone her photographer's portfolio on her tablet. "He shot 3 celebrity weddings last year. Costs $15,000, but his work is absolutely museum quality." Emma tugged my sleeve hopefully. "Mom, when is Aunt Amanda's wedding? I want to see her pretty dress." "September 15th, I said quietly, smoothing her hair. "Can I help her get ready?" Amanda overheard, her expression shifting to something practiced. "Actually, Emma, the wedding is very late at night, way past your bedtime. That's why you're not coming. It's a grown-up party. My daughter's face fell and I watched her try to hide her disappointment. Oh. Okay. Don't look so sad, my mother said. Your mom can tell you all about it afterward. Marcus cleared his throat. We're having an unplugged ceremony. No phones or cameras except the professional photographer. How considerate, I said, my voice neutral, my hand on Emma's shoulder. Amanda shot me a look. Some of us want our wedding to be elegant and memorable, not a circus. I smiled and said nothing, cutting my food into precise pieces. 2 weeks before the wedding, Sophie called me at the office. Your sister's planner just contacted me about some last-minute additions to the package. They want upgraded lighting, extending the reception by 2 hours, and they're asking about our premium bar package with top-shelf selections. What did you tell them? That I'd need to check with ownership about availability and pricing. The additions would run another $12,000 on top of what they've already paid. Send her the quote. Standard rates, no family discount. She's not going to be happy about this. She's already complained twice about our prices being higher than she expected. Then she's welcome to find another venue, I said calmly, signing off on an invoice. With 2 weeks to go, I'm sure that'll be easy for her. Sophie's laugh was dry. I'll send the quote right now. That evening Amanda called me, her voice tight with barely controlled anger. Can you believe Riverside Gardens is trying to charge us $12,000 for some basic upgrades? Just lights and a few extra hours. They're completely taking advantage of us because they know we can't back out. That does sound expensive, I agreed, putting her on speaker while I helped James with his math homework. Marcus is absolutely furious. We've already paid the $40,000 deposit and half the rental fee. We're locked in and they know it. She paused. You work in hospitality at that hotel. Don't you have any connections? Anyone who could talk to the owners and maybe get us a better deal? I'll see what I can do, I said, circling a wrong answer on James's worksheet. Please. This wedding is already costing a fortune and now they're being so difficult. Our planner says the owner is never available, always too busy to meet. What kind of business operates like that? I made a sympathetic sound. Very frustrating. 1 week before the wedding, Amanda hosted a bridesmaids' luncheon at my parents' house. I wasn't invited, but I dropped by to return a dish my mother had lent me. Through the bay window, I could see Amanda surrounded by her bridesmaids, all laughing and drinking champagne from crystal flutes. My mother met me at the door, blocking my entry. You can't come in. It's bridesmaids only. Amanda was very specific. Just returning this. I handed her the casserole dish. From inside, I heard Amanda's voice carrying clearly through the open window. Honestly, I'm doing her a favor by not inviting those kids. Can you imagine them running around breaking things? The venue has actual antique furniture, real crystal. We can't risk any damage with what we're paying. One of her friends laughed. Plus, we all know she can barely afford to dress them properly. They'd probably show up in department store clothes to a black tie wedding. How embarrassing. My mother glanced at me, embarrassed, but said nothing. She just took the dish and closed the door. That night Sophie texted me. Your sister's planner is having a complete meltdown. They want to do a final walkthrough tomorrow and I've been stalling for 2 weeks now. What do you want me to do? I stared at the message for a long moment, thinking about Emma's disappointed face, about Amanda's voice saying my children weren't worthy. Schedule it. 3 p.m. sharp. Tell them the owner will be present. Are you absolutely sure about this? Very sure. It's time. The next afternoon I arrived at Riverside Gardens through the back entrance, the one only staff used. The property looked immaculate because I employed the best grounds crew in the state. The gardens were perfect, roses blooming in precise arrangements, the fountain I'd personally restored sparkling in the afternoon sun. Sophie met me in my private office, the one with my name on a brass plaque outside. They're in the main ballroom. Amanda, Marcus, their wedding planner Victoria, and your mother came along too. Perfect. I changed into one of my tailored business suits, the ones I kept at the office for meetings with corporate clients. Sophie and I walked down the marble hallway toward the ballroom, our heels clicking in sync. Through the open double doors I could see Amanda directing her wedding planner, pointing at different areas with authority. The band goes here, cocktail tables there. And make sure they rope off that garden area. I don't want anyone wandering around unsupervised. Marcus was on his phone near the windows. I'm telling you, David, this place is bleeding us dry. Every conversation costs more money. My mother stood near the French doors looking uncomfortable. Victoria checked her tablet with frustration. The owner still hasn't confirmed the lighting package. I walked in, heels clicking on the hardwood floor, Sophie beside me, professional and composed. Amanda glanced over, annoyed. I'm sorry, but we're in the middle of a private walkthrough. You'll need to come back later. Actually, Sophie said smoothly, this is the owner. She's here for your meeting. The room went completely silent. Amanda's face shifted through confusion, disbelief, recognition, then something close to panic. What are you talking about? Hello, Amanda, I said calmly. I understand you had some concerns about our pricing. My mother's hand went to her mouth. Marcus actually stepped backward. You can't be serious, Amanda stammered. You work at some hotel. You're a manager or something. I own Riverside Gardens, I said clearly. I have for 6 years. Sophie handles day-to-day bookings, but I'm personally involved in every major event. Victoria looked between us with growing understanding. I've been trying to reach the owner for weeks. I know, I said. I've been following your requests through Sophie. The $12,000 in upgrades you wanted, that's actually under our standard pricing. I was going to approve it all. Marcus caught the past tense. This wedding is for 200 guests, correct? I asked. Victoria checked her tablet. Yes, 200 confirmed. I pulled out my phone showing screenshots. Yet my 2 children aren't on that list. My sister specifically told me they weren't worthy of attending. The room went cold. I can explain, Amanda started, her voice shaking. You said they didn't fit your aesthetic. That my son's hyperactivity and my daughter's volume might disrupt your event. You questioned whether I could afford to dress them appropriately for my own venue. My mother made a small sound. You all assumed I was barely getting by, I continued. You felt comfortable excluding my children because you thought I had no power here. No say. Marcus stepped forward. Look, we can add them to the guest list right now. No problem. That's not the point, I said quietly. You're standing in my venue, planning your wedding on my property, and you told me my children aren't good enough. Amanda's face crumbled completely. Please. I made a terrible mistake. They're invited. I want them there. Front row. Now you want them there, I said. Now that you know who signs your contract. Victoria cleared her throat. Perhaps we should discuss this privately? No need, I said. The contract stands. Your wedding will proceed as planned. My children will attend as guests, properly seated in the family section. And Victoria, those upgrades? Approved, no additional charge. Consider it a gift. Amanda looked like she might collapse. Thank you so much. I'm not doing this for you, I said quietly but firmly. I'm doing it because my children deserve to see that their mother isn't someone to be dismissed. That you don't exclude people because you think they lack power. I turned to Sophie. Please escort our clients to the parking area. I have other appointments. As I walked toward the door, my mother called my name, her voice breaking. I stopped but didn't turn around. Not today, Mom. My calendar is completely full. 3 days before the wedding, Emma and James tried on their formal outfits in my bedroom. Designer pieces I'd had tailored specifically for them by the same boutique Amanda had used for her bridesmaids. We look fancy, Emma said, spinning in front of my mirror. We are fancy, I corrected gently. We've always been. Some people just couldn't see it. On the wedding day, my children walked into Riverside Gardens like they belonged there. Because they did. Emma in her silk dress, James in his tailored suit, both holding their heads high. The coordinator, one of my staff who knew exactly who we were, escorted us to the front row. Right this way, family of the venue owner. When Amanda saw us, dressed impeccably, seated in the place of honor, her face showed exactly what I needed her to see. Recognition that she'd been wrong about everything. My children sat through that wedding with perfect posture, proving every assumption wrong. And I sat between them, watching my sister's perfect day unfold in my venue on my property by my grace. That was the real gift I gave her that day. Not forgiveness. Understanding that some people only see your worth when they can't ignore it anymore. The text message came while I was folding laundry on a quiet Tuesday afternoon. My phone buzzed and I saw my sister Miranda's name flash across the screen. "Don't come to my restaurant opening. You'll embarrass us." I stared at the words, reading them 3 times to make sure I understood correctly. My sister. The one I'd helped move into her first apartment after college. The one I'd lent money to when she was starting her catering business. The one I'd spent countless hours encouraging through every doubt and setback. Before I could respond, another message appeared. "Mom agrees. Your husband's background doesn't fit our brand image." Our brand image. As if my presence alone could tarnish whatever sophisticated atmosphere she'd spent 2 years cultivating. As if David, who worked 12-hour days and never complained, somehow wasn't good enough for her opening night guest list. Then nothing. I tried to reply, but the messages wouldn't go through. She'd blocked me. I sat down on the edge of the bed, staring at my phone. Miranda had been planning this restaurant for 2 years. She'd sent constant updates. Photos of the space, menu tastings, design mock-ups. I'd been excited for her. Our whole family had been. But apparently I wasn't invited anymore. My husband, David, came home an hour later, loosening his tie as he walked through the door. He looked tired, the way he always did after back-to-back meetings. But he still smiled when he saw me, the kind of genuine smile that had made me fall in love with him 10 years ago. He took one look at my face and stopped. The smile disappeared. What happened? I showed him the messages. He read them twice, his jaw tightening with each word. Then he pulled out his phone and made a call. "Marcus? It's David. I need you to pull the file on 447 Westbrook Avenue. Yes, that property. Send me everything by tonight, including the original lease agreement and all addendums." He hung up and looked at me, his expression carefully neutral. "When's the opening?" "This Saturday." "Perfect timing," he said quietly. I didn't understand then. David worked in commercial real estate, but he never talked much about specific properties. He managed portfolios for investors, handled lease negotiations, dealt with property disputes. It was boring work, he always said, nothing worth discussing over dinner. Just numbers, contracts, and endless paperwork. The next 3 days passed slowly. Miranda posted constantly on social media. Photos of the restaurant's interior, exposed brick and Edison bulbs. Videos of the kitchen staff prepping for the grand opening, their white coats pristine as they arranged plates with tweezers. Shots of the custom-designed bar, backlit bottles gleaming like jewels. Each post got hundreds of likes. Friends and acquaintances commented with fire emojis and congratulations. "Can't wait to try it," and "looks amazing." My mother commented on every post, "So proud of you," and "can't wait for Saturday," and "my daughter, the restaurateur." I wasn't mentioned once. Not in the posts, not in the comments, not in any of the behind-the-scenes stories Miranda shared. It was as if I'd been erased from her life entirely. Thursday evening, David came home with a folder full of documents. He spread them across the dining table. "I need you to understand something," he said. 5 years ago I started investing in commercial properties. Small buildings at first, then larger ones. I never mentioned it because I didn't want to seem like I was showing off. I nodded slowly. 447 Westbrook Avenue, he continued, is one of mine. I own the building. My stomach dropped. Miranda's restaurant? Yes. Does she know? The lease was signed through a property management company. All the paperwork went through them. She's never met me, never seen my name except on the lease agreement, which she probably didn't read carefully. I looked at the documents. Sure enough, David's name was listed as the property owner. Miranda's restaurant, Elevation, had signed a 5-year lease at a monthly rate that made my eyes widen. "What are you going to do?" I asked. "Nothing yet," he said. "Let's see how Saturday goes." The morning of the opening my phone rang. It was my mother. "Miranda's so excited," she said, not bothering with a greeting. "The restaurant looks amazing. Everyone who's anyone will be there tonight." "That's great, Mom. Your father and I are so proud. Finally, someone in the family is doing something impressive." The implication hung in the air. I'd been a teacher for 8 years. David and I lived comfortably, but we weren't flashy. We didn't post about expensive vacations or designer purchases. In my family's eyes, we were boring. Unremarkable. "I hope it goes well," I said. "It will. Miranda has excellent taste. She knows how to surround herself with the right people. After she hung up, I looked at David. Are you sure about this? He kissed my forehead. Get dressed. We're going out for dinner tonight. Where? I made reservations at Elevation. My heart started pounding. David. We're not crashing. We're paying customers. The restaurant is open to the public tonight. He was right technically. Miranda had advertised it as a grand opening, not a private event. Anyone could make a reservation. We arrived at 7. The restaurant was packed, every table full. I spotted my parents immediately, sitting at a prime table near the window with Miranda and her husband, Kyle. They were laughing, glasses of champagne raised in a toast. The hostess greeted us with a professional smile. Good evening. Do you have a reservation? Yes, David said. Under Morrison. She checked her tablet, frowned, then checked again. I'm sorry, I don't see. Try the owner's list, David said quietly. Her expression changed instantly. Oh, Mr. Morrison. Of course. Right this way. She led us to a small table near the back. Not the best location, but we had a clear view of my family's table. It took Miranda 15 minutes to notice us. She'd been making rounds, greeting guests and posing for photos. When her eyes landed on me, she froze mid-sentence. She excused herself from her conversation and marched over, Kyle trailing behind her. What are you doing here? She hissed, keeping her voice low enough that nearby tables couldn't hear. Having dinner, I said calmly. The braised short ribs look excellent. I told you not to come. You're embarrassing us. David set down his menu. How exactly is she embarrassing you? Miranda looked at him like he was something unpleasant she'd stepped in. No offense, but this is a high-end establishment. Our clientele expects a certain atmosphere. Interesting, David said. And what atmosphere is that? Sophisticated. Elegant. People who understand fine dining. I see. He pulled his phone from his pocket. And does your landlord count as sophisticated? Miranda blinked. What? Your landlord. The person who owns this building. The one you're paying $12,000 a month to rent this space. Kyle stepped forward. What are you talking about? David showed them his phone screen. It displayed a property deed with his name clearly listed as the owner. Miranda's face went white. That's not possible. It's very possible. In fact, it's documented with the city. Would you like to see the lease you signed? I have a copy right here. He pulled up another document. Miranda's signature was at the bottom, dated 6 months ago. You're lying, she said, but her voice had lost its conviction. Am I? Call your property management company. Ask them who owns 447 Westbrook Avenue. Kyle grabbed Miranda's arm. Inside. Now. They disappeared into the kitchen. Through the window in the door, I could see Miranda on her phone, pacing frantically. My parents had noticed the commotion. My mother was staring at our table in confusion. 10 minutes later, Miranda emerged. Her face was red, her eyes glassy. Kyle looked like he might be sick. She walked back to our table slowly. I just spoke with Cornerstone Property Management. And? David asked. They confirmed it. You own the building. Correct. She sat down without being invited, pulling up a chair from a nearby table. I don't understand. Why didn't you say something when I signed the lease? You didn't ask. The lease went through the proper channels. Everything was handled professionally. But, she looked at me. You knew. I found out Thursday. And you didn't tell me? I met her eyes. You blocked me, Miranda. Remember? I was too embarrassing to attend your opening. She flinched. Kyle leaned forward. Look, maybe we got off on the wrong foot here. We've been under a lot of stress with the opening. I understand stress, David said. I also understand respect. Your wife sent mine a message saying she'd embarrass you. That my background doesn't fit your brand image. I didn't mean, Miranda started. What exactly did you mean? I asked. That David's not good enough? That I married someone beneath our family's standards? She couldn't answer. My mother appeared at our table. What's going on? Miranda, you look upset. Mom, Miranda said weakly, this is awkward, but... David owns the building, I said clearly. He's Miranda's landlord. My mother's mouth opened and closed silently. That's impossible, she finally said. Your teacher. He works in real estate but not. I manage commercial properties, David said. Including this one. I've owned it for 3 years. My father joined us, drink in hand. What's all this? My mother grabbed his arm. David owns the building. What building? This building. The restaurant. My father looked at David with new eyes. You're the landlord? Yes, sir. Well. He cleared his throat. That's quite an investment. I have several throughout the city. This one's been particularly profitable. The previous tenant paid significantly less than market rate. Miranda's eyes widened. Wait, are you saying I'm overpaying? Not at all. You're paying current market rate for a prime downtown location. The previous tenant had a grandfathered lease from before the neighborhood gentrified. Kyle's face had gone pale. How much less did they pay? $7,000 a month. Miranda grabbed the edge of the table. We could have negotiated. You could have tried. But market rate is market rate. I gave you a fair deal based on comparable properties. The restaurant's general manager approached nervously. Mr. Morrison? I'm sorry to interrupt, but I need your signature on the liquor license amendment. Miranda stared. You know him. Of course, the manager said. Mr. Morrison approves all major operational changes per the lease agreement. The liquor license required his consent. David signed the document the manager handed him. Everything looks good, Thomas. Carry on. After the manager left, Miranda buried her face in her hands. This is a nightmare. It doesn't have to be, David said. You have a beautiful restaurant. The food is excellent. You've clearly worked hard. But she looked at me. I said terrible things. Yes, I agreed. You did. I'm sorry. Tears streamed down her face now. I was so focused on impressing everyone, on proving I'd made it, that I lost sight of what actually matters. You're my sister. I should have been proud to have you here. My mother was crying too. We've been awful. All of us. We treated you like you weren't successful enough, like David wasn't good enough. He owns half the downtown corridor, my father muttered, still looking stunned. 6 buildings, David corrected. Not quite half. Kyle stood abruptly. I need to check on the kitchen. He fled, leaving Miranda alone with us. What happens now? She asked quietly. Are you going to evict us? David shook his head. Your lease is solid. As long as you pay rent on time and maintain the property, you have nothing to worry about. Really? Really? This is business. I don't let personal feelings interfere with business decisions. She wiped her eyes. Can I make this up to you somehow? I looked at my sister, really looked at her. She was exhausted, mascara smudged, her perfect opening night ruined by her own prejudice. Unblock my number, I said. Start there. She pulled out her phone immediately. A moment later my phone buzzed. A message from Miranda. I'm so sorry. Now enjoy your opening, I said. You worked hard for this. Don't let our family drama ruin it. She nodded, standing slowly. Thank you. As she walked away, my parents lingered. We owe you both an apology, my mother said. A serious one. Yes, I agreed. You do. Your father and I have been snobs. We measured success by all the wrong things. My father nodded. I'm ashamed of how we've acted. David, you've been nothing but good to our daughter, and we treated you like you weren't worth our time. I appreciate that, David said carefully. They returned to their table, leaving us alone. David picked up his menu again. Still want the short ribs? I laughed, surprised I could. Absolutely. The rest of the evening passed quietly. The food was exceptional. Miranda had real talent. As we ate, I watched her work the room, her confidence gradually returning. She caught my eye once and smiled hesitantly. I smiled back. When the check came, David handed over his credit card. No charge, our server said nervously. Ms. Miranda said your meal is complimentary. Tell her we insist on paying, David said. We're customers like everyone else. The server took the card reluctantly. As we left, Miranda caught us at the door. Thank you for coming. Really? The food was excellent, I said honestly. Will you come back? Maybe for Sunday brunch? I promise, no drama. I looked at David. He nodded. We'll be here, I said. Outside the night air was cool. David took my hand as we walked to the car. You handled that well, I said. So did you. I can't believe you own her building. He laughed. Sometimes life has a sense of humor. My phone buzzed. A text from Miranda. I love you. I'm sorry I forgot that. I typed back, I love you too. As we drove home, I thought about family, about pride, about the strange ways life teaches us lessons. Miranda had her restaurant. My parents had their wake-up call. And I had a husband who'd stood beside me quietly, letting the truth speak louder than any argument could. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's just living well and letting the people who underestimated you discover their mistake on their own. The restaurant would succeed or fail on its own merits. But tonight at least something more important had happened. My family had finally seen me. Really seen me. And that was worth more than any lease agreement. The November rain hammered against the restaurant windows as I watched my mother adjust her diamond bracelet, the one she always wore when she wanted to remind everyone of her status. It caught the light from the chandelier overhead, sending small rainbows across the white tablecloth. She'd chosen this restaurant deliberately, overpriced, exclusive, the kind of place where she could feel superior to others. Across from her sat my daughter, Emily, 26 and radiant despite my mother's attempts to diminish her. Emily wore a simple black dress, elegant but understated, and I could see the slight tension in her shoulders that told me she was preparing for battle. So, Emily, Mom said, her voice dripping with false sweetness as she set down her wine glass, still working at that little retail store? What was it called again? Something with discount in the name. Emily smiled politely, the same calm smile I'd taught her when dealing with difficult people. Actually, grandmother, I've been interviewing for management positions. Senior-level positions, in fact. My mother's laugh was sharp enough to cut glass, drawing looks from nearby tables. Management? Darling, you need connections for that. Real connections. Not the kind your mother has. She gestured vaguely in my direction as if I were a disappointing piece of furniture. I kept my expression neutral, focusing on my coffee. My sister Jennifer sat beside Mom, nodding along as always. Mom's right, Jennifer added. These corporate positions go to people with the right background. You know, people whose mothers didn't embarrass the family. Emily's hand found mine under the table. She squeezed gently, a silent message. I squeezed back. What Jennifer means, Mom continued, cutting her salmon with precise movements, is that your mother's choices have consequences. When she walked away from the family business, she walked away from everything that could have helped you. That was 15 years ago. I'd left because I refused to be part of their real estate schemes, the ones that displaced low-income families for profit. Mom called it business. I called it cruelty. I've done fine on my own, I said quietly. Fine. Mom's eyebrow arched. You work as an assistant. At your age. That's not fine, that's tragic. Jennifer smirked. At least she has a job. Remember when she was finding herself for 2 years? I'd been building something during those 2 years. Something they knew nothing about. Emily, sweetheart. Mom turned back to my daughter, dabbing at her lips with the linen napkin. I'm telling you this for your own good. Companies like the ones you're applying to do research. They look at family backgrounds, social connections, professional networks. You'll never get that manager position. Your poor mom ruined your status when she chose poverty over family. These companies do background checks. They see connections, club memberships, references from the right people. What do you have to show them? A mother who threw away everything we built. Emily's smile never wavered. She set down her fork carefully, the silver clinking softly against the porcelain. Actually, grandmother, I have quite a bit to show them. She reached into her leather bag and pulled out a business card. The movement was casual, practiced, but I caught the glint in her eye, part amusement, part anticipation. She'd learned from the best how to deliver a perfect reveal. Read it, Emily said, sliding the card across the table with 2 fingers, the way a poker player might reveal a winning hand. Mom picked it up between her manicured nails, her expression already preparing to be dismissive. She squinted at it, ready to make some cutting remark about cheap printing or questionable companies. Then her face froze. The color drained from her perfectly made-up cheeks, her foundation suddenly looking like a mask against pale skin. Regional director? She whispered, the words barely audible over the restaurant ambience. Jennifer grabbed the card from Mom's trembling fingers, nearly knocking over her water glass in her haste. That's impossible. That's data core systems. They're huge. I've seen their ads on LinkedIn. They're one of the fastest growing tech companies in the region. You can't just become a regional director there without. She stopped, her mouth hanging open. Without what? Emily asked, her voice pleasant. Without connections? I pulled out my phone and opened a document I'd prepared months ago, knowing this moment would eventually come. 15 years of work, condensed into legal papers and incorporation documents. I slid my phone across to my mother, watching her eyes try to focus on the screen. Company ownership papers, I said simply, my voice steady despite my racing heart. Data core systems. I founded it 13 years ago with a single client and a laptop in my apartment. The silence was deafening. Even the restaurant noise seemed to fade away. The clinking of silverware, the murmur of conversations, the soft jazz playing overhead. Our table had become an island of stunned silence. Mom's hand shook as she scrolled through the documents, her finger leaving smudges on my screen. This says you own 68%. This says the company valuation is. She couldn't finish the sentence. Controlling interest, I confirmed, taking a sip of water to keep my voice from shaking. I started with software consulting, remember? When you said I was wasting my computer science degree on playing with code, instead of joining the family real estate business. That consulting turned into contracts with small businesses. Those contracts turned into bigger contracts with mid-sized companies. Those companies referred me to enterprise clients. That work turned into a software company. That company is now valued at $420 million. We closed our last funding round 3 months ago at that valuation. Jennifer's mouth opened and closed. But you never said anything. You let us think. I let you think what you wanted to think, I interrupted. You assumed that because I didn't drive a luxury car or wear designer clothes I was struggling. You never asked what I actually did. You just assumed. Mom was still staring at the phone. 420 million? Current valuation, yes. We're a B2B software solutions provider. We have contracts with 73 Fortune 500 companies. Emily has been working with us for 3 years, starting in customer relations. She earned her promotion to regional director last month. She manages a team of 47 people across 6 states. Emily pulled out her own phone. Would you like to see my salary information, grandmother? Or would that be too uncomfortable? Mom set down my phone carefully as if it might explode. Why didn't you tell us? Why would I? So you could take credit? So you could tell your country club friends about your successful daughter after spending 15 years telling them I was a failure? So Jennifer could suddenly want to reconnect, after ignoring my calls for a decade. Jennifer flinched. That's not fair. Isn't it? When was the last time you returned my call, Jennifer? Was it 3 years ago? Oh wait, you've never returned a single call. Not one. The waiter approached to refill water glasses, sensed the tension and retreated. You've been sitting here for an hour, I continued, my voice steady, telling my daughter she'll never amount to anything because of me. Telling her she doesn't have connections. Telling her that corporate positions go to people with the right background. Well, Emily has the right background. She has a mother who built a multi-million-dollar company from nothing. She has a mother who taught her that real success comes from competence, not connections. Mom's voice was small. I didn't know. You didn't ask. There's a difference. Emily cleared her throat. Grandmother, remember last year when you asked me to help you with your real estate company's database issues? When everything crashed and you lost a week of data. Mom nodded slowly. I fixed it in 3 hours. You paid my little computer friend $5,000 for the emergency service. That was my company, Data Core Systems. I sent my junior developer because I was managing the Microsoft contract negotiation that week. Jennifer's face went from white to red. You let us pay you $5,000 when you own the company? You didn't pay me. You paid Data Core Systems. At our standard emergency rate, actually. I gave you the family discount. Our usual emergency rate is $8,000 for the first 3 hours. Mom pushed her plate away. I need to understand this. You're telling me you've been a millionaire this entire time. Multimillionaire, I corrected. And yes, for about 8 years now. The first 5 were building. The last 8 have been scaling. But your apartment is in a building I own. The entire building. All 24 units. I live in the penthouse. I renovated it myself. Well, I hired the contractors, but I designed it. Jennifer found her voice. The family business. Dad's company. We're struggling. If you have this kind of money, you want me to bail out the company that built its reputation on displacing poor families? The company whose business model I disagreed with so strongly that I walked away from my inheritance? That company. It's family, Mom said weakly. Family. I let the word hang in the air. You've used that word a lot today, Mom. But family isn't just a word you use when you need something. It's not a card you play when your real estate ventures stop being profitable. Family is showing up. It's returning phone calls. It's not telling your granddaughter she's worthless because of her mother's choices. Emily spoke up. For what it's worth, grandmother, Mom has been helping people, real people. Remember the Johnson Street development you told everyone was a terrible investment? Mom bought those buildings. She renovated them into affordable housing. The families who lived there still live there. They just have better buildings now. That was you. Mom's voice cracked. That was me. I've purchased and renovated 17 buildings in the last 6 years. 412 families have stable, affordable housing because of those investments. I didn't displace a single person. That's my real estate portfolio. Jennifer leaned back in her chair. I don't understand. Why keep it secret? Because I didn't want this. I gestured at the table. I didn't want people suddenly interested in me because of my bank account. I wanted to know who my real friends were, who my real family was. And I found out. Emily knows everything. My partner David knows everything. My actual friends know everything. The people who matter know. We're your family, Mom protested. Are you? When's my birthday, Mom? She hesitated. June, no, July? March 14th. I'm 44 years old. You've had 44 chances to remember. Emily, when's Jennifer's birthday? October 23rd, Emily said immediately. And yours is February 9th, grandmother. Mom looked stricken. Emily knows because she pays attention. Because she cares. Not because she wants something. She knew my birthday before she knew about Datacore. Before she knew about the buildings. Before she knew about any of it. The waiter approached again, this time successfully delivering the check. I picked it up before Mom could reach for it. I'll get this, I said. Let me, Mom started. I have it. I placed my credit card in the folder without looking at the total. Consider it a family dinner. Jennifer swallowed hard. What now? Now you go back to your lives. You tell your country club friends whatever you want, that I'm a tech CEO, that Emily is a regional director. Or don't tell them anything. It doesn't matter to me. Will we see you again? Mom asked. I looked at Emily. She met my eyes and gave a tiny nod. That depends, I said. Are you interested in having a relationship with your daughter and granddaughter? Or are you interested in having a relationship with my money? Mom's eyes filled with tears. I've been terrible. Yes. You have. Can I make it up to you? I don't know. Can you? The waiter returned with my card. I signed the receipt, added a generous tip, and stood up. Emily and I are having brunch next Sunday. At my place. 10 o'clock. You're both welcome to come. But if you come as family, real family. Not as people looking for business opportunities or investments. Not as people trying to network. As family. Mom nodded, mascara streaking down her cheeks. I'll be there. Jennifer. My sister looked down at her hands. I don't know if I deserve. Probably not. But Emily wants to know her aunt, and I'm willing to try if you are. But this is your only chance. Show up as family or don't show up at all. Jennifer nodded. Emily and I walked out of the restaurant into the November rain. She linked her arm through mine. That went better than expected, she said. Did it? They didn't storm out. Grandmother cried. Aunt Jennifer actually looked ashamed. I'd call that progress. I laughed. When did you become so wise? I had a good teacher. She squeezed my arm. Do you think they'll actually come on Sunday? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe not. But at least now they know the truth. All of it. Most of it. I didn't mention the charitable foundation. Emily grinned. Or the investment in the children's hospital. Or the scholarship program. Or the... Let's save some surprises for brunch, if they show up. We walked to my car, a modest sedan I'd owned for 6 years. Emily had been after me to upgrade, but I liked this car. It was comfortable. It was reliable. It didn't announce anything to the world. Mom, Emily said as we drove. Yes. Thank you for not gloating. You could have. You had every right to. Gloating doesn't fix anything. It just makes you feel superior for a moment. I don't need to feel superior. I just need them to see me. Really see me. Do you think they will? I turned onto the highway, rain streaking across the windshield. I think Sunday will tell us everything we need to know. Either they'll show up wanting to understand or they won't show up at all. Or worse, they'll show up wanting something. And if it's the last option, then we'll know. And we'll move forward, just like we always have. Emily was quiet for a moment. I'm proud to be your daughter. My throat tightened. I'm proud to be your mother. The rain continued to fall as we drove home, but somehow the world seemed a little brighter. The truth had been told. Cards had been laid on the table. Whatever happened next, we'd face it together. And that, I realized, was worth more than $420 million could ever buy. The notification came while we were having dinner. My daughter Maya, 13 years old, stared at her phone as tears formed in her eyes. My son Daniel, only 10, looked confused as he read over her shoulder. Mom, Maya whispered, her voice shaking. Look what cousin Tyler posted. I took the phone and felt my stomach drop. There was a photo of our family car, an older sedan, parked in front of my sister's house during last week's visit. The caption read, "Look at these poor kids living free in our mansion. Aunt's family can't even afford their own place. Meanwhile, we're out here supporting charity cases." The post had already gotten 47 likes and dozens of comments from Tyler's friends. Most were laughing emojis. Some were cruel additions about our clothes, our car, our apparent poverty. My sister Jennifer lived in a beautiful colonial-style home in Westbrook Heights. 5 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, a pool, professionally landscaped gardens. Tyler, her 17-year-old son, had always been spoiled, but this was a new level of cruelty. Why would he say that? Daniel asked, his lower lip trembling. We don't live there. We were just visiting. I know, sweetheart, I said quietly, setting down my fork. My hands were steady. Inside I was calculating. Maya wiped her eyes. Everyone at school is going to see this. His friends go to my school. I smiled gently at my children. Finish your dinner. I need to make a phone call. I walked into my home office and closed the door. Then I opened my laptop and pulled up my banking portal. The screen showed multiple automatic payments scheduled for the 15th of each month. I had been staring at these numbers for 7 years, watching them drain from my account like clockwork. Mortgage payment to Westbrook Savings Bank, $4,200. Property tax escrow, $1,800. Homeowner's insurance, $650. Pool maintenance service, $325. Landscaping service, $400. I picked up my phone and dialed the bank's 24-hour service line. This is account holder Sarah Mitchell. I need to cancel several automatic payments. The representative confirmed my identity and pulled up my account. Which payments would you like to cancel? All payments associated with the property at 847 Grandview Terrace in Westbrook Heights. Effective immediately. Let me verify these. That's a mortgage payment, property tax escrow, and homeowner's insurance. These cancellations will take effect with the next billing cycle. The payment scheduled for tomorrow will still process. That's fine, I said. Cancel everything after that. May I ask the reason for the cancellation? If you're experiencing financial hardship, we have programs that might help. No hardship, I replied. The arrangement is ending. After I hung up, I called the pool service and landscaping company and canceled those contracts as well. Then I sat in the quiet of my office and waited. My phone rang 18 minutes later. Jennifer's name flashed on the screen. Sarah, what the hell did you just do? Her voice was shrill, panicked. The bank just called me. They said the mortgage payment was canceled. They said you canceled it. That's correct, I said evenly. What do you mean that's correct? You can't cancel my mortgage payment. This is my house. Is it? I asked. Jennifer, what payments do you make on that house? There was silence on the other end. Then, that's none of your business. I don't know what kind of sick joke this is, but fix it. Now. I'll be happy to explain everything, I said. Why don't you come over? Bring Tyler. I think it's time we all had a conversation about who lives free in whose mansion. She hung up on me. 35 minutes later, her Mercedes pulled into my driveway with enough force to leave skid marks. Jennifer stormed through my front door without knocking, Tyler trailing behind her, looking annoyed at being dragged along. My children had finished dinner and were doing homework in their rooms, which was exactly where I wanted them for this conversation. Explain yourself, Jennifer demanded. Right now. I was sitting at the dining room table with a folder in front of me. I gestured to the chairs across from me. Sit down. I don't want to sit down. I want to know why you're sabotaging my life. Sabotaging. I opened the folder and pulled out the first document. This is the original mortgage statement from when you bought the house 7 years ago. Do you remember that purchase? Jennifer's face flushed. Of course I remember. David and I bought it together before he left. Before he left you bankrupt, I corrected. Before he emptied your accounts and disappeared with his secretary. Before you called me sobbing because the bank was going to foreclose. Tyler's eyes widened slightly. This was clearly not a story he had heard. I pulled out the next document. This is the loan modification agreement you signed, the one where the bank agreed to restructure your debt. Do you remember what made them agree to that? Jennifer's jaw tightened. We worked out an arrangement. We did, I agreed. You, me, and the bank. Because I agreed to take over the mortgage payments as long as you stayed in the house. You were a wreck, Jennifer. You had just been abandoned. You had a 10-year-old son. You needed stability. I spread out 7 years of bank statements on the table, each one highlighted to show the monthly transfers. $4,200 every month for 84 months. That's $352,800. Plus property taxes, insurance, pool maintenance, and landscaping. Do you want to know the total? Jennifer stared at the papers, her face going pale. $406,900, I said. That's what I've paid over 7 years to keep you in that house. To give Tyler stability. To help you rebuild after David destroyed you financially. Tyler stared at his mother. Mom? Is this true? It was a loan, Jennifer said weakly. A family loan. Sarah was helping out temporarily. Was it? I pulled out another document. Because I don't have any paperwork indicating it was a loan. No promissory note. No repayment schedule. No interest rate. Nothing. Just me paying your bills month after month while you told everyone you owned that house outright. You said it was fine, Jennifer protested. You said you wanted to help. I did want to help, I agreed. I still wanted to help when you bought the new Mercedes last year. Still wanted to help when Tyler got a BMW for his 16th birthday. Still wanted to help when you renovated your kitchen with granite countertops and custom cabinets. Tyler's face was turning red now, not with anger but with shame. I never asked you to explain where the money came from, I continued. I never told anyone I was supporting you. I let you have your dignity. I let Tyler think his mother was successful and independent. I let you maintain your image in your fancy neighborhood. Then why are you doing this now? Jennifer's voice broke. Why destroy everything? I pulled out my phone and showed her Tyler's post. Because your son just publicly humiliated my children. He called them poor. He said they were living free off your generosity. He made them out to be charity cases. Tyler's eyes went wide as he looked at the screen. I didn't. I thought. You thought what? I asked quietly. That you were rich and we were poor? That your mother's house made you better than my kids? I'm sorry, Tyler stammered. I'll delete it. I'll apologize. You will, I agreed. But that's not why I canceled the payments. I canceled them because this arrangement has gone on long enough. 7 years is more than enough time for your mother to have gotten back on her feet. Jennifer's hands were shaking. Sarah, please. I can't afford the mortgage on my own. My salary barely covers our other expenses. If you stop paying, I'll lose the house. Then I suggest you figure something out, I said calmly. Sell it. Downsize. Get a second job. Do what millions of other single mothers do when they can't afford their lifestyle. You can't do this to us, Jennifer said desperately. We're family. Family, I repeated. Yes, Jennifer, we are. Which is why it hurt so much to see my nephew mock my children online. To see him call them poor while living in a house I pay for. To watch him drive a car I essentially bought while making fun of our older sedan. I pulled out one more document. This is the deed to your house. Did you know that when the bank restructured your loan, part of the agreement was that I'm listed as a co-owner? I have a 50% equity stake based on my payment contributions. The bank required it to protect their interests. Jennifer's face went completely white. What? You signed it 7 years ago. You probably didn't read the fine print. You were too desperate to keep the house. I slid the document across the table. Which means I don't just pay the mortgage. I co-own the property. Tyler looked like he might throw up. So here's what's going to happen, I said, my voice still calm and even. Tyler is going to delete that post right now. He's going to post a public apology explaining that he was completely wrong and that he's ashamed of his behavior. He's going to personally apologize to Maya and Daniel. Tyler nodded frantically, already pulling out his phone. Then you and I are going to have a very serious conversation about the future. Either you start making the mortgage payments yourself, or we sell the house and split the proceeds according to our ownership stakes. Or you buy out my equity at market value. I can't afford any of those options, Jennifer whispered. Then you'll have to figure it out, I said. Because I'm done subsidizing a lifestyle that made my nephew think he could humiliate my children. Jennifer's eyes filled with tears. Sarah, please. I'm begging you. Give me time to work something out. You've had 7 years, I replied. How much more time do you need? Tyler's fingers were flying across his phone screen. Within seconds the original post disappeared. Then a new one appeared. I need to apologize for a terrible post I made earlier. I was completely wrong and disrespectful. I'm ashamed of what I said and I'm deeply sorry to my aunt and cousins. I had no right to judge anyone, especially when I didn't know the full situation. I'm truly sorry. There, Tyler said quietly. It's done. Good, I said. Now you're going to text Maya and Daniel personal apologies. Sincere ones. He nodded and bent over his phone again. I looked at Jennifer. You have until the end of the month to come up with a plan. Either you start paying the full mortgage yourself or we put the house on the market. Those are your 2 options. And if I can't? Jennifer asked hoarsely. Then the bank will foreclose and neither of us will get anything, I said. But at least I'll stop paying $4,000 a month for the privilege of having my children mocked. Jennifer stood up slowly, her legs unsteady. I never knew you were this cold. I'm not cold, I replied. I'm a mother protecting her children. Something you might understand if you taught your son basic decency instead of letting him think he was superior to everyone else. Tyler was crying now, silent tears running down his face as he typed. Part of me felt bad for him. He was 17, spoiled and ignorant, but not entirely to blame for his mother's lies. Tyler, I said more gently. You're not a bad kid. But you've been living in a fantasy world where your mother's house made you special. It didn't. It made you lucky to have an aunt willing to sacrifice for you. Learn from this. He nodded without looking up from his phone. Jennifer moved toward the door then turned back. You're going to regret this, Sarah. Family doesn't do this to family. You're right, I agreed. Family doesn't do this to family. They also don't let their children bully their cousins online. They don't pretend to own houses they can't afford. They don't take advantage of their sister's generosity for 7 years without even saying thank you. I said thank you, Jennifer protested weakly. Once, I said. 7 years ago. Then you started acting like you'd earned everything yourself. Like I didn't exist. Like my $400,000 didn't matter. Jennifer left without another word, Tyler following close behind, his eyes still glued to his phone as he typed his apologies. After they were gone, I sat alone at the dining room table looking at the spread of documents. My hands were steady. My breathing was calm. But inside I felt the weight of 7 years lifting off my shoulders. Maya appeared in the doorway. Mom? Is everything okay? Come here, sweetheart, I said, opening my arms. She came and sat beside me, Daniel following a moment later. They both looked worried. Tyler texted us, Maya said quietly. He apologized. He said he was really sorry and that he was wrong about everything. Good, I said. He should be sorry. Mom, Daniel asked hesitantly. Do you really pay for Aunt Jennifer's house? I had never wanted them to know. Never wanted them to think their mother was foolish or taken advantage of. But they deserved the truth now. Yes, I said simply. I had been for a long time. But not anymore. Why did you do it? Maya asked. Because 7 years ago your aunt needed help and I was able to give it, I explained. I don't regret helping her. I regret that she never appreciated it enough to teach Tyler humility. Are we really poor? Daniel asked quietly. Like Tyler said? I looked at my children in our modest but comfortable home, wearing clean clothes, their homework done, their bellies full. I thought about the $4,000 a month I would have back in my budget. Money for their college funds. Money for family vacations. Money for things I had sacrificed to keep Jennifer in her mansion. No, baby, I said firmly. We're not poor. We're careful with our money. There's a big difference. And more importantly, we're kind. We don't judge people by their houses or their cars. That makes us richer than any mansion ever could. Maya hugged me tight. I'm glad you're my mom. Me too, Daniel added, climbing into my lap even though he was getting too big for it. I held my children and felt peace settle over me. The next morning, I would start the process of selling Jennifer's house or working out a buyout agreement. It wouldn't be easy. There would be more confrontations, possibly lawyers involved. But for tonight, sitting with my children in our modest home, knowing they understood their worth had nothing to do with square footage or property values, I felt like the richest person in the world. And somewhere in Westbrook Heights, in a 5-bedroom colonial she could never afford, my sister was finally learning what things actually cost. The Sunday dinners at Mom's place had become a ritual I dreaded. Every week I'd pack up my 2 kids, drive 40 minutes across town to her spacious townhouse in Oakmont Gardens, and endure hours of subtle humiliation disguised as family time. The comments started the moment we walked through the door. Tyler's shoes were too worn. Lily's hair wasn't brushed properly. My car was embarrassing, parked next to the neighbor's luxury vehicles. I told myself I was being sensitive, that Mom meant well, that this was just how she showed love, by pushing us to be better. But last Sunday crossed a line I didn't know existed. Emma, take the kids to the kitchen, Mom announced as we arrived, not even looking up from arranging her fancy china on the dining room table. They can eat at the breakfast bar. My daughter Lily, who was 7, looked up at me with confused eyes. Why can't we eat with everyone, Mom? Because this is an adult dinner, my mother interjected before I could respond. And frankly, children who eat with their hands and spill things don't belong at my antique table. They use utensils perfectly fine, I said quietly, setting down the casserole I'd brought. Emma, don't argue. Your sister's family is coming and Jennifer's children know how to behave properly at formal dinners. I won't have your 2 making a mess in front of them. My son Tyler, who was 9, grabbed his sister's hand. It's okay, Mom. We like the kitchen better anyway. I watched them walk away, Tyler's shoulders slightly hunched, Lily looking back at me with that particular expression kids get when they're trying not to cry. Something cracked inside my chest. The dinner was exactly as uncomfortable as I'd anticipated. My sister Jennifer arrived with her husband and 2 teenagers, all dressed like they were attending a gallery opening. Mom fussed over them, complimenting their clothes, their manners, their everything. Jennifer's kids are taking French lessons, Mom announced as if I'd asked. Real cultural education. Not just sitting in front of screens all day. My kids read constantly, I offered. Tyler just finished a book about marine biology. How practical, Mom said with a tight smile. Though I suppose trade skills are important too. From the kitchen, I could hear my kids talking quietly, the clink of their forks against the breakfast bar plates. They'd been given leftovers from last week's meal while we ate the prime rib roast Mom had prepared for the real dinner. After dinner, while Mom was showing Jennifer her new artwork, I stepped into the kitchen. Both kids were doing homework at the breakfast bar, having cleaned their plates without complaint. You 2 ready to go? I asked. Already. Lily looked up. But Grandma usually wants us to stay longer. Not tonight, sweetheart. As I gathered our things, Mom cornered me in the hallway. Leaving so soon? We haven't even had dessert. The kids have school tomorrow. Emma, you're so sensitive. I'm trying to teach them proper etiquette. They should thank me. I smiled at her, the same smile I'd perfected over 32 years of being her daughter. Of course, Mom. We'll see you next week. But I wasn't coming back next week. Or any week after that. The next morning I sat in my home office and pulled up my banking records. 5 years of automatic payments, all neatly documented. I'd kept everything organized. Every receipt, every confirmation email. The mortgage payment for Mom's townhouse, $2,800 monthly. The HOA fees, $450. The utilities she insisted on keeping in my name for her credit score, another $300. Insurance, $200. Maintenance fund, $500. Property taxes, $350. The lawn service she absolutely needed, $180. The cleaning service she'd hired 6 months ago, $240. I stared at the numbers. $5,020 every single month for 5 years. Over $300,000. My cursor hovered over the spreadsheet. $300,000. That was Tyler's college fund. That was Lily's braces she'd need next year. That was the family vacation we'd never taken, the car repairs I'd been putting off, the retirement account I'd stopped contributing to when Dad died. It had started when Dad died. Mom had been devastated, overwhelmed by the financial reality of maintaining their lifestyle on just her pension. I'd had a good job at a tech company, recently divorced, and she'd asked for a little help just temporarily. The temporary help had become permanent. She'd never once asked if I could afford it. Never acknowledged that I was a single mother working 60-hour weeks to cover her lifestyle and raise my own kids. She just expected it, the same way she expected me to show up every Sunday and accept whatever criticism she decided to serve alongside dinner. I opened my laptop and composed an email to the landlord. Mom didn't own the townhouse. She'd sold the family home after Dad died and rented this place, with me co-signing the lease and covering every payment since. Hi Mr. Patterson, I'm writing to inform you that I'll be terminating my portion of the lease at 847 Oakmont Drive, effective in 30 days as per our agreement. Please send all future correspondence regarding the property solely to Margaret Sullivan. Best regards, Emma. My phone rang within an hour. What is this nonsense about moving out? You don't even live here. No, Mom, I don't. But I've been paying for you to live there for 5 years. That was an arrangement we agreed to. You're my daughter. Family helps family. You're absolutely right. Which is why I'm sure you'll understand that I need to prioritize my own family now. My kids need things. Tyler wants to join the robotics club at school, but it costs money. Lily needs a new winter coat. I've been putting off things they need because I was covering your expenses. Your expenses? Emma, I'm your mother. I raised you. You owe me this. I owed you respect, Mom, which I gave you. I owed you love, which I gave you. But I don't owe you a lifestyle you can't afford while you treat my children like they're not good enough to eat at your table. There was a long silence. Then, this is about Sunday? Emma, you're being ridiculous. Mr. Patterson said the rent is due on the 1st. That's 6 days from now. I assume you have it covered. You can't do this. Where am I supposed to get $2,800 by Friday? I'm sure Jennifer can help. Her kids are taking French lessons after all. That sounds like a family with extra money. I hung up. My hands were shaking, but I felt lighter than I had in years. The calls started immediately. First from Jennifer, angry that I was abandoning Mom in her time of need. I let it go to voicemail. Her message was 3 minutes of outrage about how selfish I was being, how Mom had always been there for us, and how I could do this over something so trivial as a seating arrangement. Then came Aunt Patricia trying to mediate. Emma, honey, I understand you're upset, but your mother is elderly. She's from a different generation. Can't you just forgive her? She's 63, not 93. And I've been forgiving her for 32 years. But where will she live? That's not my problem to solve anymore, Aunt Patricia. I have my own children to worry about. Then came calls from Mom's bridge club friends, her church group, even our old neighbor from the house I grew up in. Everyone had an opinion about what a terrible daughter I was. No one asked why I'd been paying Mom's bills for 5 years. No one asked why my kids had to eat in the kitchen. I didn't answer any of them. Instead, I took Tyler to sign up for the robotics club. The registration fee was $340. I paid it without the usual guilt that came with every expense. Then I bought Lily the purple winter coat she'd been admiring for months at the mall. The one with the fuzzy hood that made her look like a small, happy bear. We went out for pizza afterward, sat at a real table, and I let them order whatever they wanted. Breadsticks, extra cheese, even dessert. Mom, are you okay? Tyler asked, studying my face with that perceptive way of his. You seem different. I'm better than okay, buddy. I'm great. Is it because we don't have to go to Grandma's house anymore? Lily asked quietly, twirling cheese around her fork. The question hit me harder than I expected. Did you not like going there? It was okay, she said carefully. But it felt like Grandma didn't want us there. Like we were in the way. Tyler nodded. Jennifer's kids got to eat the good food. We always got leftovers. I'd thought I was hiding it from them. I'd thought they were too young to notice the disparity, the casual cruelty wrapped in etiquette lessons. But children see everything. By Wednesday, Mom showed up at my door. She looked smaller somehow, her usual perfect posture slightly diminished. Her hair wasn't perfectly styled and she was wearing jeans, which I'd seen her do maybe 3 times in my entire life. Emma, we need to talk. Come in. She sat on my couch, looking around at my modest living room with barely concealed distaste. The furniture was from IKEA, not the antique stores she preferred. The TV was 5 years old. There were toys in a basket by the window, scuff marks on the walls from Tyler's skateboard. This is what you left me for? This little apartment. This little apartment is mine. Every payment I make here goes toward my kids' future, not toward maintaining someone else's image. I'm not someone else. I'm your mother. Then act like a grandmother. My kids are good children. They're kind, smart, and they deserve better than being shoved into a kitchen like servants. Mom's face tightened. I was teaching them their place. Their place is at the table with their family. But you've made it clear where you think they belong, and by extension where I belong. So I'm choosing us. I can't afford that townhouse alone, Emma. You know that. Then downsize. There are plenty of nice apartments in your price range. Apartments? I'm 63 years old. I can't live in some cramped apartment like some college student. I'm 32 with 2 kids and we manage just fine. That's different. You've always been fine with less. You never had your father's standards, his eye for quality. And there it was, the real issue that had been lurking under every Sunday dinner, every critical comment. I'd never been enough. Not refined enough, not successful enough, not worthy of the life Dad had built for her. Dad's standards required Dad's income, I said quietly. Which you don't have. And I'm done subsidizing them. She stared at me and for the first time I saw something like panic in her eyes. What do you want from me? An apology would be nice. To my kids specifically. For what? For trying to teach them proper behavior. For treating them like they weren't good enough. For making them feel small. For every Sunday you've made them eat in another room while you fawned over Jennifer's kids. I didn't mean. Yes, you did. You meant every word, every slight, every dismissal. And I accepted it because I thought that was what daughters did. But I'm a mother now and I won't let anyone make my kids feel the way you've made me feel my entire life. Mom stood up, her purse clutched against her chest like armor. So this is it? You're just cutting me off. I'm setting boundaries. If you want a relationship with us, it starts with respect. Real respect. Not the conditional kind where we're only worthy if we meet your standards. And if I can't afford to stay in my home? Then you'll figure it out the same way I've had to figure out everything else while supporting 2 households on 1 income. She left without another word. That evening Jennifer called. You need to fix this. Mom is having a breakdown. Then maybe she should call and apologize to her grandchildren. Over a seating arrangement? Emma, you're destroying this family over where kids ate dinner. No, Jennifer. I'm protecting my kids from being treated the way I was treated growing up. The way I'm still being treated. You just never noticed because you were always the favorite. She hung up on me. The eviction notice came 2 weeks later. Mom had tried to pay partial rent, but Mr. Patterson required the full amount. She called me crying, begging, promising things would be different. You can stay in my spare room, I told her. Temporarily. Until you find something affordable. Your spare room? Emma, I can't. Those are the terms. You're welcome to look for other options. She moved in on a Saturday. Jennifer helped with the move, shooting me hostile looks the entire time. But I noticed she wasn't offering Mom a room in her spacious suburban home. The first morning, Mom came out to find my kids eating breakfast at our small dining table, right where they belonged. Good morning, Grandma, Lily said brightly. Want some cereal? Mom looked at the table, at my kids, at the modest kitchen that was now her reality. Yes. Thank you, Lily. She sat down. Tyler pushed the milk toward her without being asked. We're all fancy enough for this table, I said quietly, meeting Mom's eyes. Every single one of us. She looked at her bowl, at my children's expectant faces, and something shifted in her expression. Not acceptance, not yet, but maybe the beginning of understanding. Yes, she said finally, her voice barely above a whisper. I suppose we are. It wasn't a perfect resolution. Mom still made comments, still struggled with the reality of depending on me instead of the other way around. But every morning she sat at that table with my kids. And every morning she got a little better at seeing them for who they really were. Family helps family, she'd said. He was finally right about something. Just not in the way she'd meant.